India's BrahMos attack was so strong that Pakistani General Asim Munir had to be reportedly rushed to a fortified bunker. Cowering in panic, he called up US Secretary of State Marco Rubio. "We are okay with a ceasefire. Can you please speak to India?" Chickens had come home to roost for this Jihadi general who had raked up anti-Hindu rhetoric and actively supported terrorists. How did this happen? After India launched Operation Sindoor on the night of May 7, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio separately called both countries. "De-escalate." India's stand was clear. It had chosen terror targets so as not to escalate. But the radical Islamist Pak Army Chief Asim Munir thought his Chinese planes and Turkish drones could impregnate India's defenses. The US was closely following the situation and their intelligence saw a huge buildup of Pak artillery near the border the next day. Vice President J.D. Vance tried to scare Prime Minister Modi into backing down.
"Pakistan is going to launch a big attack."
But the Indian Prime Minister was firm.
"Our retaliation will be bigger, deeper and harder."
That's what happened late night on May 9-10th as Pakistan Air Force did escalate by firing the Fatah-2 ballistic missile on 26 Indian cities. But in an impressive display of strength, India's air defenses intercepted them with the Indo-Israeli Barak-8 surface-to-air missiles and suffered only limited damage at 4 Air Force locations: Udhampur, Pathankot, Adampur and Bhuj. But it was time for retaliation as the Indian Air Force deployed Sukhoi 30 MKI fighters armed with BrahMos missiles with a range of 450 kilometers, striking from our airspace itself on 11 of Pakistan air bases. So bad that runways, aircraft shelters, fuel depots and radar installations were destroyed, including one Pakistani Mirage aircraft that has been confirmed destroyed on the ground. A missile strike on Pakistan's Bolhari airbase near Hyderabad, Sindh killed squadron leader Usman Yusuf and 4 other Pakistan Air Force personnel. Satellite before and after imagery confirmed the extent of destruction, the full scale of India's retaliation, which has now been corroborated by New York Times as well, that India's precision strikes did more damage than Pakistan's strikes. While India's INS Vikrant and MiG-29K fighters and early warning helicopters remained hyper-vigilant in the Arabian Sea, a deterrent to Pakistani jets. However, after a BrahMos hit the Noor Khan airbase at Rawalpindi, one of the central transport hubs of Pakistan's military and just a few hundred meters from the headquarters of Strategic Plans Division, which protects Pakistan's nuclear arsenal, a warning from India that triggered Pakistan's deepest fear. It could decapitate its nuclear command base, put the cat among the pigeons. A panicked Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif convened an emergency meeting of the authorities responsible for the nuclear stockpile. Alarm bells rang as far as the Pentagon that it could turn into a full-blown nuclear conflict. The BrahMos attack was so strong that Asif Munir himself was reportedly shifted to a fortified bunker within the headquarters, from where a panicked Munir called up US Secretary of State Marco Rubio. "We want a ceasefire now. Can you please speak to India?" Chickens had come home to roost for this Pakistani general who had raked up anti-Hindu rhetoric and has actively supported terrorists. Asim Munir recently emerged as Pakistan's first army chief with overtly Islamic credentials. The first one who as a kid studied under an Islamic preacher in a madrasa and was highly influenced by his religious family, where his father served as an imam in a Rawalpindi mosque. Even after becoming a military attaché in Saudi Arabia, he memorized the Quran, getting the title Hafiz-e-Quran, a rarity among officers, and then putting it to practice, integrating Quranic verses and classical Arabic into public speeches, which no secular-leaning past generals had ever done. The delusional chief considers Pakistan a divine project along the lines of Riyasat-e-Madina, the first Islamic state established by the Prophet. It was during Munir's tenure as the ISI chief that the horrid 2019 Pulwama terror attack took place. And once he became the chief of army, Munir consolidated power like a true dictator, purging opposition from the judiciary, forcing the Shahbaz government to bypass the constitution and extending his tenure till 2027. Controlling Pakistan's economy by controlling the investment council, dismissing 124 officers, including a lieutenant general and 3 major generals for being allegedly complicit with ex-Prime Minister Imran Khan, charging critical journalists under cyber terrorism laws and employing digital surveillance to monitor activists. indulging in espionage via the Pakistan military's Atomic Energy Commission by illegally importing high-performance computers from the US through one Ubaidullah Syed, who was put in an American prison in 2021 for this crime. Despite being jailed, his Pakistani firm BSI became an official partner of a geospatial American firm Maxar Technologies in early 2024. And a year later, during Feb-April 2025, the US firm, which used to get hardly 3 requests in a year, got an unusually high number of 12 requests of guess what? High-resolution satellite images of Kashmir's Pahalgam region, which allegedly indicate that the terrorists used these images to map their movements through Pahalgam's dense forest terrain. And probably the Pakistani army was directly involved as well. Munir's Pahalgam attack targeting Hindus mirrors Pakistan army dictator Zia-ul-Haq's support for Khalistani militants against Hindus in the 1980s Punjab, and how he executed the secular Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto and criminalized dissent. See Bisbo's story. It also echoes General Musharraf's Kargil misadventure in 1999 when Pakistan had lost as well. General Musharraf was also full of himself, appointing himself as president in 2007 and made his Security Council in charge of the economy. Though unlike Zia or Musharraf, the orthodox Munir has been clever enough to pull the elected Shahbaz strings without any military coup. But India's response to Pahalgam, Operation Sindoor, has given him a reality check. Munir, who was negotiating Su-30SM fighter deals in Kazakhstan at that time, had to reportedly scramble and rush back to Pakistan and quickly took the lead, moving combat jets from Karachi in the south to a more aggressive Skardu airfield north of Ladakh, 2,000 kilometers away. Yet even this strategy was largely foiled over the next 2 to 3 days. This time, not only were Pak defenses exposed, their duplicity too, proved by their shelling on gurdwaras, convents and temples near the border in Poonch. So shameful that senior Pakistan military and Punjab police officials were present at the funeral service of terrorists. Not surprising, because Pakistan's DG ISPR Ahmad Sharif Chaudhry, who is the face of his military, is labelled as a terrorist son, as his father Sultan Bashiruddin Mahmud had featured on the UN's list of terrorists for passing on nuclear secrets to Osama bin Laden. Despite Pakistani social media claims to the contrary and their trolling in our comment section, Munir knows his standing is diminished and his carefully cultivated image of military strength undermined. Thus, with his missiles and drones failing and his own bases under attack, he had to reluctantly comply with the US's ceasefire call. We want a ceasefire now. Can you speak to India? So when on May 10th later that morning, Secretary Rubio relayed this to Jaishankar, he refused US meddling. Pakistan must contact us directly. So around 12:30 p.m. that afternoon, Pakistan DGMO called the Indian DGMO for the first time. Let's have a ceasefire. I will have to take directions from the War Committee. But there was no word from the PMO on accepting the ceasefire. Instead, at 12:45 p.m., India struck again. Within 15 minutes, there was another call from Pakistan's DGMO. Enough, let there be a ceasefire. And thus, a ceasefire was agreed from 5 p.m. But before India or Pakistan could announce it to the world, an opportunist Trump resorted to his favorite pastime of tweeting. After a long night of talks mediated by the United States, my mediation led to the ceasefire. Trump perhaps wants to win the Nobel Peace Prize, as he is also trying to broker peace between Russia and Ukraine, as well as between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, and then try to internationalize the Kashmir issue. I am ready to broker peace between this 1,000-year-old war. Whatever. Right in the middle of the strikes, Pakistan even got an IMF bailout of $1.4 billion despite a protesting India abstaining from voting, which clearly shows the West's hypocrisy. The Kirana Hills, deep under which Pakistan's nuclear missiles are hidden, which reports say India targeted, is false. Thank you for giving us this information. We have not hit Kirana Hills, only hitting the Sargodha Air Base, which is 20 kilometers from the Kirana storage facility. Whether any Rafale has been destroyed by Pakistan's Chinese J-10 plane is still under speculation based on foreign media reports, and there is no confirmation by India. While the IAF has also confirmed we shot down high-tech Pakistani planes, but without details. We are in combat scenario, and losses are part of combat. However, we have achieved all our objectives and all our pilots are back home. India's new security doctrine has been set up by Operation Sindoor. Decisive retaliation on India's terms, no tolerance for nuclear blackmail, no distinction between terrorists and their sponsors. An advice for the Jihadi general? He should look at his own country, which is more divided than ever, with Baloch, Pashtun and the insurgency violence at a record high, on which we will do a video soon. Finally, a salute to our Jawans, our brave hearts, who made the supreme sacrifice for our nation. Jawan Murali Nayak, BFS SI Mohammad Imtiaz, Gunner Dinesh Sharma, Sepoy Sachin Yadav, Sepoy Amit Chaudhary, IF Sergeant Surendra Mogra, Sepoy Suraj Yadav. Bisbo's limerick. When missiles flew fast in the night, India struck back with sheer might. Munir hit the floor, cried, "Please, not a war," then vanished clean out of sight.